Turning to the worsening crisis in Cuba, where the food shortage continues.
There is now an even stricter rationing of bread. Local 10's Annalise Garcia is live in Coconut Grove with the latest on this. Annalise.
Okay, so today we're going to Cuba. There has been a crisis ongoing in Cuba. This video that we are going to watch particularly was several months ago when there was food crisis. There was rationing of food. And then a few weeks ago, there's been blackouts all over Cuba that it's affecting millions and millions of people. And on top of that, to make matters worse, now several Cubans are in the risk of deportation from America back to Cuba because of the new Trump administration policies. Now, why do I mention the deportations? Because for the most part, many Cubans in the mainland in Cuba are being fed and, by the remittance, the money that is being sent by the Cubans from America. Now, this is really going to affect them if Cubans are now being deported also, and it's going to make the situation worse and worse. Now, before we continue, please consider liking, subscribing, and let's get to the video.
Louis, Janice, the Cuban government held a press conference today to speak about their economic issues. They have lessened the ration of daily bread. We spoke to a Cuban on the island. He weighs in.
Decidieron reducir el pan que daban anteriormente.
Messages from Cuba Tuesday. This man lives on the island. He tells us about the government's recent decision to lessen the ration of daily bread from 80 grams to 60 grams.
Y culpan, una vez más, a los Estados Unidos.
He says the government yet again blames the United States and the embargo.
Creo que es una falsa más.
He says he knows it's all lies. Orlando Gutierrez with the Assembly of Cuban Resistance tells us the food crisis is man-made.
The regime needs to import almost everything that Cubans eat because their policies have ruined the Cuban soil and they've taken away any kind of incentive for farmers.
Para hacer un levantamiento de barrio.
Evia Perez Naranjo left Cuba to Nicaragua in November of last year. She came to Miami soon after. She shared this photo.
Okay, look at that photo. This photo is actually food ration for a month. Can you believe that? 1 month of food. This is 1 month of food you're looking at in the screen right now. 1 month of food. That's the rationing that was happening back then. This was a couple of months before the U.S. election. Now, the reason I keep mentioning that is because there is a huge population of Cubans in Miami who are devout Trump supporters, who are devout Republicans. It's so weird to me because even it's made comedy routines. We're going to come back to the video. We're going to look at this comedy, why Cubans change all of a sudden. Once they arrive in America, they become staunch Republicans. Now, let's just watch this 1 minute of the video of this comedy routine speaking about why Cubans are kind of different from other Latinos.
We got Cubans out here. Cubans really my favorite, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I love, I love Cubans because y'all turn into conservative Republicans immediately after getting to America. Like y'all are refugees, immigrants, and the second you get that dry foot, the second that foot dry, you're like, okay, end the immigration. He said no. He said no. Hey, he said no immigration. Hey, it's too many people. It's too many people. How? Hey, we need a system. We need law. We need law. What? My foot dry. My foot dry.
Okay, so my foot dry. You've seen the routine from Andrew Schultz speaking about Cubans. I've had the same complaint with other Hispanics. I've been around Hispanics like so many years now, and I always hear these complaints specifically about Cubans, not being for other Hispanics. And also I hear the same thing about Argentinians. Surprisingly, I hear Argentinians are more concerned about being white and more than, other stuff. But that's another story for another day. We're gonna cover Argentina also. Now, this was 1 month food rationing in Cuba. Since then, Donald Trump has come into office thanks to a lot of Cubans voting, the Hispanic vote. Now, there's these deportations now happening. Now, I'm surprised. Why is there a disconnect? If there are any Cubans or whoever, please comment and let me know. Why is there a disconnect between the Cuban Americans and the Cubans in Cuba? Because Cubans in Cuba are suffering, but the Cubans in America are making things worse for them, basically. Either directly or indirectly, making it worse by people like other Cubans who are very powerful in the Trump government, making it worse for them. And also the Cubans who live in America voting for policies that directly are against the Cubans in Cuba. So let's just finish this video. We're going to look at another one where the Trump administration is kind of stopping the remittance of money. But let's finish this like 1 minute of the food, 1 month supply. Let's continue.
Photo saying this is what the ration of food looks like for a month.
People in Cuba survive in terms of food because of the foods that their family sends them from outside Cuba.
Gutierrez says the regime refuses to make changes to its policies, so the food crisis is only getting worse.
Muy triste y lamentable.
This Cuban resident saying it's very sad how the government continues to plunge their suffering people into hunger and misery.
Cubans who live in the island can't find food, but if you live in Miami and you pay for that food, then that food is delivered to them right away. So the regime does have food in the military warehouses, and they're depriving the people of that food.
Okay, so that was that clip. That was several months before the US election. Now we have a new president. Policies have changed. Things are getting worse and worse in Cuba. Now let's look at this more recent video of now sanctions being added back, making things worse for the people living in Cuba. So I don't know when this is gonna stop. These sanctions, no sanctions, is gonna be like a light switch, on and off, based on the administration. But the Cubans in America, it's like they're working somehow against the Cubans in actual Cuba based on their policies. I know they might think they're doing the right thing, you know, because the word communism is thrown to one party and the other. But in reality, what they're voting for is affecting these Cubans directly in Cuba. So let's look at these Cubans in Cuba, how they are barely scraping by.
Barbara and her husband Florimir have seen their purchasing power nosedive in recent years. These days, Florimir's pension works out to just $8 a month.
Did you hear that? $8 a month pension. How can you survive with that? You need people outside of Cuba to feed you, basically. And let's see what happens with this new administration.
But their granddaughter in Texas helps out by sending them cash and food.
Obviously, what we are sent from abroad is more important, because between his pension and what I earn, it's hardly anything.
But last week, this lifeline was threatened. Secretary of State Marco Rubio blacklisted Orbit, the Cuban company that receives remittances.
Okay, so that's what happened. They have a daughter, I guess, daughter or granddaughter in Texas, sends them money and food. And then Marco Rubio, who I believe has a Cuban heritage or whatever, stops remittance using the company that they normally receive money with. So that's why I'm saying, why is there a disconnect? It's like once you leave Cuba and you arrive to America, things totally change. I have no clue. I'm not going to make assumptions, even though I've made some already. But somebody please enlighten me in the comments, because I don't get it. You should be kind of in sync, working together. You're the same people. You left the country. You're here. So why the disconnect? Let's just finish the video like 1 minute.
Washington says the regime in Havana is evil and has once again banned Americans from staying in military-linked hotels. But according to this economist, the military's role in the economy doesn't stop goods getting through to regular people.
I don't believe that the top officials of the military holding company have money stashed away in foreign banks. There's too much social control here for that.
During its final days, the Biden administration removed powerful sanctions on the island. But it's taken the new administration just weeks to put them all back. Cuban American politicians have unprecedented power in the new Trump administration. They've signaled that more sanctions are in the pipeline and that they could be broadened out to hit companies around the world that do business here.
Yeah, you heard it yourself. So I'm just gonna stop the video there because it's the same thing. It's like the Cubans in Florida and other places, they are voting for Republicans who in the process are adding more sanctions, despite majority of them being like Cuban Americans working in the Trump government, adding more sanctions and stuff for them, making it harder for them in the mainland. Like someone explained this to me. Like I don't know what to say, man. I just gonna stop right there because I'm speechless. So just please like, subscribe, and share this on all the networks. I'll see you on the next one.
Oh my goodness, all the networks! Wow! All the networks!